The first national semifinal taking us to Glendale, Arizona for the Fiesta Bowl, and it was bonkers. Jim Harbaugh and Big Ten champion Michigan against Sonny Dykes and TCU. First points of the Fiesta Bowl came on a pick six. TCU's Bud Clark picking off J.J. McCarthy and returning it 41 yards for the score. Michigan did not find the end zone in the first half, failing to capitalize near the goal line, coming away with 0 points on 2 drives inside the 2. Third quarter, the Wolverines made it a 5-point game on a flea flicker. McCarthy to Ronnie Bell for a 34-yard touchdown. TCU answered right back with a rushing touchdown, then grabbed another pick six, courtesy of D. Winters. McCarthy, the first player to throw multiple pick sixes in a playoff game. TCU starting back, Kendre Miller got injured in the second quarter, and Amari Mercado stepped up, rushed for 150 yards, including a 69-yard run that set up Max Duggan for a 1-yard touchdown at the end of the third. Two teams combined for a playoff record 44 points in the third quarter. Michigan made it a 3-point game early in the fourth thanks to a fumble recovery, but then TCU came right back. Duggan connecting with projected first-round pick Quentin Johnson for a 76-yard touchdown, and the Horned Frogs spring the upset 51-45. TCU, the first team to be unranked in the preseason and make it all the way to the national championship. Have a season, Horned Frogs. Get some instant analysis. Welcome in former Louisiana running back and CBS Sports HQ college football analyst Emory Hunt. Emory, first off, your reaction to what we just witnessed in a bonkers, wild bowl game. And I was just talking yesterday about how this bowl season has been absolute chaos.
You got to stay in the fight, man. As long as you stay in the fight, you will always have a chance. And TCU did a great job, not only throwing the first punch. I thought their inside the 5-yard line defense was excellent in this ball game, but they started to believe that they should win this ball game. Not coming into this matchup thinking, hey, we hope to win, we hope to keep it close. They expected to win. They dominated up front, which is where I thought Michigan was going to have the advantage. I was wrong there. They were able to answer the call. They couldn't really get their ground game going consistently. And on the other side, we saw TCU overcome their own mistakes. They couldn't really protect up front. They couldn't really run the football until later in the game, started to pop some of those runs out on the perimeter. But this was a great team effort by TCU. And if you're Michigan, you're looking back, let alone the 2 pick sixes, forget that. If you go for the field goals twice inside the 5-yard line and you don't go for 2 and you kick the extra point, guess what? You win this game by 1 point.
And look, I want to take you back to some critical moments, especially early in the game, right? The would-be touchdown pass to Roman Wilson. They call him down at the 1, and then the next play is a fumble. That was a huge turning point, and then it happened later in the game, and they were able to cash in on a similar type play down at the 1. But that really was awful when you think about how they started. And then before that, they tried to run the trick play, and they came up empty. I mean, it was missed opportunity after missed opportunity for Michigan.
Dance with the person you brought to the party, and it was your run game behind one of the best offensive lines in college football. Some may say arguably the best offensive line in football. So you get down to the first rep. Hey, man, you ripped off a chunk run on the first play of the game. Run it again. Don't get cute. And then you get back down there, and now off the big pass play, yeah, it should have been a touchdown, but whatever. You get the ball inside the 1-yard line. You hand the ball off to someone who hadn't really touched the ball but, 9 times the whole season? Dance with the person, number 7, who you brought to the party. I thought they got cute in the red zone. They outthought themselves a lot in this ball game, and that's why they ended up missing those 2 opportunities, and that's ultimately what cost them in this ball game. We're talking about a different mindset for TCU. If they go out and score those 2 times, score touchdowns those 2 times, and that's what ultimately gave them that juice they needed to carry out and win this game in the end.
Yeah, I mean, and you take a look at J.J. McCarthy this season here at this full screen. First 13 games, 3 interceptions, and he throws 2 in this one, both returned for a touchdown. First time that's ever happened. First player to throw multiple pick sixes in a playoff game. If he plays a little bit better, we're talking about a Michigan win here. If he maybe only throws 1 pick six, we're talking about the Wolverines headed to L.A., not TCU, right?
And it wasn't the first one that bothered me so much. This is a great play by TCU. It was the second one. You threw it right to him. And you know how bad a pass has to be for not only a defender to catch it, but to bring it back the other way. The second interception I thought was the most critical one because they were doing a great job fighting back. You thought, okay, Michigan's about to turn the table. They're about to start to blow out this team. But that second pick six is really what gave them that extra life. Like in Contra, they put the code in, got the extra life, and next thing you know, TCU was able to carry on the rest of the way. So, yeah, outside of the obvious situations inside the red zone, those 2 pick sixes, un-McCarthy-like, cost them the game.
Up, down, left, right, A, B, select, start. I forget it. I do. I haven't played that game in years, but it was something like that, and you had unlimited lives. Man, that was a great game. This was a great game. That was a professional segue right there, Emory. By the way, Sonny Dykes, a professional as well. First coach in his first season at a school to make the college football playoff. When you look at what he has built with this program in just one season, we talk about like guys like Matt Rule who come into a program and rebuild programs. Look at Sonny Dykes, the guy who was great at SMU, comes down the road to Fort Worth and leads TCU to a national title appearance. And look, they weren't supposed to be here, right? 200-1 odds to win the title. And look, I know they haven't won the title yet, and I'm not crowning them, but this is a heck of an achievement to get TCU to the national championship game when you talk about what they're going up against in terms of recruiting.
Absolutely. You're in a talent-rich state of Texas, but you're getting pulled from Texas A&M. You're getting pulled from Texas. And now that you have a resurgent program in SMU, you're getting pulled from there. And these pop-up G5 programs are starting to nip at you as well. You got to fight off of San Antonio, UT San Antonio. You got to fight off of North Texas out there in Denton, nearby Fort Worth. So, yeah, you're getting pulled from so many different areas. Now Sam Houston jumps into the FBS ranks. You got to fight them off in Huntsville. So this was fantastic by Coach Dykes. And I've always been a big fan of the Dykes family. His dad was one of my favorite coaches because he loved big backs and running the football. But this TCU team has gone about success a different way. We were talking off air how Gary Patterson was someone that was trying to get TCU to this point with defense and dominant defense. Because you remember how Southern Miss used to be the Baltimore Ravens of college football. No one wanted to play them. For a while, it was TCU. No one wanted to play TCU because of that 4-2-5 defense, how well they were on defense, how efficient they were on offense. Now you bring in this 3-3-5 stack, and I thought those guys up front played a well of a game. And excellent coaching adjustments by Coach Dykes, making sure his guys understood, hey, this is what they're going to try to do, and here's how we're going to counter that. That counterpunch they threw early in the game up front really changed the tide for this one for the Horned Frogs.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of this is credit to the quarterback, the Heisman finalist, Max Duggan. Throws a couple picks in this game, but 4 total touchdowns, 2 passing, 2 rushing, and the one that was huge was on that play where he's running backwards and he throws a dart to Quentin Johnson, the projected first-round pick. He does the rest. But he stayed in there on a couple of plays, Emory, where he took big hits. That touchdown to make it 21-3, stayed in there, took a big hit, and then the last touchdown pass he threw takes a big hit there at the end as he's scrambling back. And this is a guy that's 2 years removed from heart surgery. We saw him crying when they lost the Big 12 title game. And look, when you see a quarterback, you see your leader that emotional after a loss, it's almost like, whoa, we're going to follow this guy. Like, he's not crying because he's soft. He's crying because he cares, and he's able to put them on his back in this game and credit this great the run game as well without Kendre Miller, which we'll get to in a point. But Max Duggan really stepped up when they needed him to.
And he looks like Chad Pennington, so he got that going for him as well, too. When you think about the pass he threw on that crossing route, I think if he doesn't get hit, it doesn't help with the velocity. Him getting hit actually helped with the velocity on that throw that was needed to get that crosser right to the receiver in stride, allow him to scoot around the edge and get to the end zone. So, yeah, he's played a phenomenal game in terms of when they needed him to play big. Yes, he had the turnovers. Yes, he was, 9 of 23 or something like that. From a statistical standpoint, he played a horrible game. But from a situational standpoint, he made the plays that were there to be made. He made them when they needed to be made. And he got his team in the end zone when they needed to answer for a score from Michigan. So, yeah, situational football is huge when you're looking at a quarterback and trying to grade these guys. Okay, the stats are the stats. But how well did you play on third down? How well did you play inside the red zone? How well did you play when the game was on the line, the 4-minute offense? Getting that first down, when they were trying to run out the clock, forcing Michigan to use those timeouts on the back end of that first down they got, that was huge. And that's all because of his ability playing great situational football.
Well, we've seen that kid all season make plays, right? I mean, the kid plays with toughness, grit. We saw him in the Big 12 title game, exhausted, giving every ounce. They lost in overtime to Kansas State, but then making big play here. And yeah, again, part of these games, Emory, you know in the playoffs, you're going to make mistakes. The stakes are extremely high. You're playing in an NFL stadium. The pressure is on to get to the national championship. Everything is on you. And so you're making plays in these games. That's all that counts at the end of the day. And in terms of making plays, also give credit to Emory Hunt, right? I mean, he steps in the place of the starter, Kendre Miller, who ran for over 1,300 yards, 17 touchdowns, one of the best backs in the country. He gets knocked out of the game with a knee injury, and then DeMarcado sets them up with a big touchdown on that 69-yard run, and just they keep pounding the rock. I thought that was a huge point in this game when Miller goes out and DeMarcado steps up.
Especially when you combine his ability on the ground with what Max Duggan was doing before that big run. Duggan was keeping these guys alive with his scrambling. They couldn't really bring him down in the backfield. He would find a way to get those 6 yards, to get that 7-yard gain that kept him in a manageable down and distance situation. And then when you add in your reserve tailback, popping one, staying with it, staying true to his assignment, and things opened up like the Red Sea, that was probably the turning point of the ball game, because we start to see Michigan regain control of the plane and was trying to land it peacefully and safely. But TCU was like, nah, this is our championship to go get, and they were able to bring it home with the run game.
Well, these are two of the highest scoring teams in FBS this season, both over 40 per game. The thing is, Michigan had the edge defensively coming in, giving up 13 points per game, and it's as if, Emory, TCU just completely flipped the script. And they said, we're going to take you out of your comfort zone. We're going to put the pressure on you here. We don't care how good you were defensively. It's as if TCU was really in control of this game in terms of how it went in the progression of this game. And it felt like all game long, yeah, Michigan's trying to come back, but it maybe when they got it to 3, but it never really felt like the Wolverines were really going to take over in this game. Like there was maybe flashes, but it's as if TCU really controlled the narrative.
And what we usually love about Michigan's defense is what we love about Utah's defense. We talk about them being fundamentally sound, great open field tackling team. They're well coached. They're disciplined. TCU was able to get Michigan out of that discipline, out of being assignment sound and gap sound. How many busts we saw them on defense? How many times we saw TCU gain the edge? No one was setting the edge. How many times we saw these guys miss open field tackles that ended up being chunk plays down the field? So this is probably the worst game at the worst time for Michigan to have defensively, because now they're going home while TCU is moving on.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.